Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's KD, getting ready to get some work done with Gambit and his owner Roth. And while they're warming up, I figured I'd knock out some Q&A for you guys. I got a whole stack of emails that have been piling up. I'm still trying to work my way through this YouTube thing, so let's get going with that. All right, so Mechelle has a question. First off, Mechelle, thank you for sending your question. And all of you out there, you can go to my website. There'll be a link in the bottom. Go to my contact page. Throw me a question. I'll answer it here on YouTube and get it out and share it for the rest of you so we all can benefit and try and learn something. All right, so Mechelle has a question. I have a female pit. I've had her for roughly a year. She's a year and a half old, and she's had some issues. Her biggest issue, though, is I'm having a hard time getting her socialized. She is a rescue, and I believe the people that had her were abusing her. I asked my vet what I could do when I took her in, and he said I should put her in a muzzle. And I don't want to do that. Unfortunately, I don't have the finances right now to put her in training. With that being said, do you have any kind of tips and tricks that can help me out? All right, first off, a couple things. So, one of the biggest traps people fall into when they adopt a dog is this idea that the dog might have been abused, or I think the dog was abused. Well, why? One of the issues people have when they take a dog in is thinking too much about the dog's past. Let's get something straight. The dog isn't worried about the past. The dog is living in the present. And the problem is a lot of people have this, it's natural and it's good, an empathetic response to what we perceive, what we think, or what we imagine the dog's past was like. And as we all know, our imagination is usually far worse than any reality is. Whenever taking in a new dog, forget the past. Focus on the present and plan for the future. Now, you mentioned something else. You talk about socialization. Socialization is a very misunderstood term. It's overused, it's misused most of the time it's being used. I could go off for an hour on socialization. So when you have a dog who has a demonstrated challenge with other dogs or anything else in the environment, the first thing that everyone should think about is simply getting that dog to focus on them. That's really important. See, the peak of socialization where you can have the most impact is between 6 to 12 weeks. And that's usually a long time before anybody actually got this adult dog in. Once a dog is an adult, the way that their brain works, the way that they experience the world is different than they were as a puppy. So people think socialization means, oh, let me bring my dog out and have it meet other dogs and I'll give it a treat when it does good. It doesn't work that way. Most of the time people do that and they end up making the problem worse. So the first thing to do in helping a dog deal with the unpredictability of the outside world is teaching the dog a really awesome coping strategy. And that is, focus on me. If the dog is focused on you, it'll help the dog deal with whatever in the environment might be making it uncomfortable. And the way that you build that focus isn't by going into highly stimulating environments. You start at home. Getting the dog to always focus on you in order to get reinforcement, whether that's food, a toy, or even being touched. And then what you do is slowly go out into more challenging environments, like a park where there's nobody, or a park where there's one person and a dog. And if the dog is starting to get aggressive at this distance and showing these behaviors, all right, then go 30 yards backwards. And the whole time, what you're doing is you're teaching the dog to focus on you. You're building that engagement on you, which will help the dog deal with kind of weird, unpredictable stuff in the environment. Now, that's something you can do right now. That's something everybody can do right now. In terms of really, really aggressive behavior, well, at that point, the internet isn't going to help you. I'm not going to be able to fix that for you. No trainer is going to be able to fix that for you on YouTube. You are going to need a professional to come in and evaluate what's going on and then put together a program of training to deal with that. But if you want to know what you can do right now that isn't going to cost you a dime, focus and engagement. Teach your dog to focus on you. Start in a really boring place where there's not a lot of distractions, and then slowly work your way from the laundry room to the living room, from the living room to the backyard, from the backyard to the front yard, to an empty parking lot, to a semi-busy parking lot or park. It all depends on where you are. Use your environment wisely. Use it as a teaching tool, and you're the teacher. Management, relationship, then training. Right now, focus on management, then the training and the relationship kind of overlap here, and that's getting the dog to focus on you. You are the key to everything good in that dog's life. That's the first thing you can do. Folks, if you have any other questions, be sure to send me a message and I'll get to it. I'll get a video going for you. Subscribe. There's a button somewhere on here. I'm still learning YouTube. Get over to my website. There's a link in the information underneath. Sign up for my blog. You'll get a free copy of my book, Operation Dog. But before you do any of that, before you make any attempt to even gather any information, you got to remember the first thing you have to do is drop your ego before you pick up that leash. Otherwise, you won't learn a thing. See ya.